Hi, this is Igor K Handel. Welcome back. I omitted something which may be of help to you from in the last video, so I'm just going to very briefly touch on it now to get it finished and out of the way. It's all very well having a custom layout with your menu sets made just how you want them, but that's not much use if you have to do this every single time that you open trueSpace and want to do some rigging, for example. So here we are, we've built our custom layout. For the sake of argument, let's assume Mr. Skeleton wasn't there. How do I save this layout with my nice little custom UI so that I just click a button and off it comes again with all my menus, etc. where I want them? Simple. Go down to the library browser, which is the folder with the magnifying glass on it, and scroll down to Layouts Configurations. Double click it and it will pop up at the top of your stack view. Close your library browser, because although this is going to take a snapshot of your screen, so you don't want that open. And now right mouse click in an empty area of your layout configuration screen box at the top of the stack view and hit insert. And voila, there you go, you've got your layout complete with the icons. If you were to close TS and then reopen up, double click on here and that will open your layout. I would suggest before you're saving to this that you do File, a new scene, and then save your layout. This gives you a clean slate apart from your actual user interface. Okay, let's move on. Now, it's all very well, we've got a skeleton at the minute, and at the minute what we can do with him is he's just like any other object. We can rotate, scale, etc. But that's not much use for character animation. If, for the sake of argument, I right mouse clicked and clicked on a joint, and I moved it, it's actually deforming and making the bones longer and shorter, which is obviously not very realistic. So we don't want to transform joints or bones apart from before skinning, which is attaching the bones to the skin of the actual object. Otherwise we're going to get really funky goings on. Now, how do we do it then? Down here on the left hand side at the bottom of the screen you've got a button called the Dynapose button. Left click on that and then click on a joint and rotate only, and this will give you your rotations. Now, at the minute it does have some default limits set as to how far each joint can bend. It can only go a maximum of that distance to that distance, which is 90 degrees if memory serves me rightly. How do we set those? Okay, well the defaults I've shown you before, but we right mouse click on the build skeleton tool, and in your stack view the character editor preferences comes up. I'll rip that out just so you can see it. And it says joint placement center. That would be putting, if you were putting the joints or the bones into an object, for example a human skin or whatever, a model that you built. And the default angles, which are the angles we're talking about of how far the rotations can go on any given joint. In this case it's 45 degrees, which is 45 degrees either side of the center point. Okay, that is the default. If I just made a line of bones, that's what they would start with. However, we can change it once it's been done. Individual joints may need different limits. Let's have a look at the limits as they stand for this knee. Okay, what we've got is a widget here. It's got two handles. Let me just zoom in for you. One of them's running straight down the bone because he's at his forward limit, the other one is back here. So effectively what that's saying is this can go from here and rotate backwards as far as here. If I wanted this to rotate further, I would go like that. It drags it with it as a visible thing. So now if I go into Dynapose, click this joint, try and click the right joint and go like that, you'll see that it can go a bit further. to make that more obvious. Let me just click here and drag for that one now. Obviously a knee doesn't normally move in that angle unless you've broken it, but that's just to show you how those work. Now the limits tool has got other options for different angles. At the minute you were working with a knee, and normally a leg or knee would only move forwards and backwards. However, you can set the side to side angle with these, and you'll see we're gradually building up a little box of area within which it's allowed to rotate. So if I drag this side and move it that way, what I'm saying is it can move to this extreme, this extreme, this extreme, and the one at the back. In addition to that, I've got this little button here, and this is for twist. So what I'm saying is it can twist like that. Obviously the knee's unlikely to be able to do that, but there you go. And the top ring is to rotate the whole shebang. So basically, if you remember, this is the twist, and the extremes of this box are the area within which that joint can rotate. Now, as I say, the knee obviously can't normally go anything but forward and backward, and there's doubt there's much twist either. I can change this numerically in the stack view. I can go 0 and 0 and be left with this as the degrees of freedom, and I can center it slightly as well, which is effectively using the numbers instead of the ring around the top. And I can put my spread to a 45. As I say, that will actually give me 90 degrees of total freedom. And there you go. Well, obviously with a shoulder, you can not only bring your arm up and down, but you can move it slightly forward and backwards. And there's also possibly sometimes some twist. This is the limits. This is the rotation of the area of the limits, and if I want to put twist, I can go like that and add some twist in. So there you go. You can now set up a skeleton with each joint with realistic degrees of freedom for each individual joint. Now, say I've used Dynapose and I've messed about with this. Say I start with this pose here, and I skin him, i.e. I attach him to the actual model. And this is known as the T pose, with his arms outstretched, with a slight bend in each elbow, legs moderately straight, with a slight bend in each knee. This actually gives the computer an easier time to do the mathematical stuff for joining to the skin when you eventually do that. So, let's say I want to be able to get back to this pose. We'll call this the default pose. What I do is I hit this button with the arms down. That now saves this position. And now I can mess about to my heart's content, hopefully. And again, I'm on all sorts of weird and wonderfuls. Okay. And I decide, right, I want to go back to that original pose. I've made a mess of this or whatever. And in theory, if it would work. Of course, it's not working now. Interesting. There we go. It's bringing him back to the default pose. Now, to be honest, it is a bit quirky. I believe this may be a possible bug within TS 7.6. It has been highlighted, so I can only assume it will be fixed in the next patch. Occasionally, as you just saw, going back to the default pose takes a couple of attempts before anything happens. Okay, I hope that helps, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tut. Cheers, IK.